that gun, actually shooting somebody down, and I'd been, at any rate, I think most of us felt Jane Fonda was young and naive. She wasn't. She might have been young, but she wasn't naive. Whereas there were other people, Father Berrigan, Wilfred Burchett, some other people who came who were adult, senior, and they were 100% communist, and they caused as much torture as she did. But when we came home, as you know, and most of the our fighter pilots, we never cussed or anything, But there were people came up with some little stickers of Jane Fonda, and then it became international throughout the military. I think at least all Air Force bases, that was pasted on the bottom of the urinal. So it was that, but it was she caused a lot of torture for a lot of us, and it was occasionally when you heard a delegation was coming, and you heard it on a camp radio. There's a little speaker wired in if you're solitary, or 2 or 3 in a cell, or in the big cells later on. They'd flip it on, you'd hear the switch like an old-fashioned radio, you turn it on, you click, and they'd say, and if they had more than one thing to read to you, they'd say, here are the news. Or if they had just one thing, they'd say, here's the new. But that was a little humor, but that was okay. It's just something to listen to. But you didn't pay much attention, but they'd come around and make sure you sat on your edge of your slab, and you're supposed to be listening to the camp radio. But when they announced that a delegation was coming to North Vietnam, we learned quickly that was very bad news, because these were people who were sympathetic with North Vietnam, and they were going to torture, they were going to just about periodically pick out a few prisoners and torture you until you memorized some answers to the questions that were going to be asked. And all they could see was your hands, your face, and your feet. The rest of your cover-up pajamas. And it was very brutal. I went through that for as long as they want to. So it was bad news when any delegation came to North Vietnam. Tough.
Leo, did they provide y'all with shoes?
Yeah, we had some. They were, I guess, sandal. They were kind of flat things, rubber tread, and then a piece of rubber over the top of it, made out of tires. So okay. Sandal kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but rarely did we get to go outside other than going to interrogation, which you welcome, but getting outside and working a little bit would have been. On rare occasions, they'd take somebody out and do something. And but with that tap code, now and then they'd take a prisoner out and to sweep with a little short broom, you're done. And you can it's amazing how far you can transmit that tap code with sweeping brushes. The whole camp would realize, you know what I'm doing, and it was always the best language, but it brought some humor when somebody's out there sweeping, broadcasting to the whole camp. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to ask you about that. Certainly there were times of sorrow and so forth. But were there some? You mentioned the time with Mike and making a flag and so forth. Were there humorous times? That
there was great humor. Yeah, that was really a funny place. We had some. well, example: when I lived in a cell block one time, there were 6 cells. Looking down the top like this shoulder bit, like this, and then down here, 2, 4, 6 cells. And there were either 8 or 9 of us in those total of 6 cells, and a couple of them had 2 it. And so, with that tap code, and you can you can lay down on the floor, and you look at the doors. Most of the doors had about this much space under it, and you can see some guard feet coming along, and you thunk the wall real hard, and that means stop communicating. So with the tap code, and but anyway, and by the way, a very valuable prisoner. If you don't go with Mike Christian, go with somebody at a prison like that who has no cheekbones. He can get his eyeball right on the ground. That really was valuable. You try to get roommates that had no teeth. But one time we said, okay, so we started tapping the jokes we knew. And it'd take a long time because you're watching out for guards and so on. And went all the way around, and after about a couple of months you say, well, I'm going to tell that joke again, and so you tap. It turns out aviators, we're really good at what we do, but we can't write humor. We couldn't come up with any new jokes. And this is true. So after about the 3rd time around, and if you tell a long, shaggy dog, the odds you're going to get beaten more than if you tell a short story. And so after they've been around 2 or 3 times, we said, okay, this is dumb. Let's number our jokes. And we did. So, but the 21 was by far the best joke going. You could tell that joke, and you could just about hear the guy slapping his lap.
That's all you'd have to do.
Just tap 21, and we all knew the jokes. So there were, anyway, you had to live. And, you know, so we did the best we could, and we all wish we could have had a set of in those days there were encyclopedias. You know, there was no intercomputer thing. We said if we had a set of encyclopedias, we'd all have a PhD by the time we had nothing to do. But it would have been wonderful to have some books or so. But anyway, well, you know, you've been very kind, and I think I've used your business time.
That's fine.
So I'm really honored to be here.
We're gonna have a real short meeting.